Welcome, everyone. I'm Kimberly Boscheman, and this is the Intentionally Intuitive Podcast. In this episode, we are going to take a look at the numerology of Pluto dipping into Aquarius from March 23rd, 2023, through June 2023. Now, I know that, there's plenty of resources out there that address this and what to expect, but I wanted to, again, sort of look at the energy with the numerology because I find it kind of interesting what's being highlighted. So I want to share that with you, and then I will also break it down for each life path number so that you can kind of understand what you might expect on a more sort of concentrated personal level with these energies. So Pluto's stay in Aquarius for the next couple of months anyway will give us a taste of what we may further expect or what might be highlighted when Pluto ingresses into Aquarius for its more lengthy stay of 20 plus years, which will begin March 2024. So this sort of grand entrance on March 23rd, 2023, highlights the energies of the 15-6 collectively. So we'll all feel this influence to some degree, even if it's more subtle. Because again, this is a lengthy stay. Pluto moves very, very slowly. And so the effects are not typically felt right out of the gate, although sometimes it can be. But a lot of times it's more progressive, right? But we will all feel this change and transformation because Pluto signifies death, transformation, rebirth, right? So whatever it touches, it's going to transform in some significant way. And so in the case of numerology, it's touching or highlighting the energies of the 15-6. So when we look at or break down the energies of the 15-6, we have the energies of the 1, the 5, and the 6. So the 1 is going to bring into focus independence, autonomy, self, the power back to the individual, right? Transformation, change in, again, shifting the power back to the individual. Taking responsibility for our own life and the direction of it, right? Taking an initiative, being more assertive and more direct within our communication of what it is that we need and what we will or will not tolerate, right? What it is that we will sort of compromise on or not compromise on, and what we won't sacrifice for when it comes to what we need in order to thrive. The 1 energy is going to influence or sort of bring into focus stepping outside of our comfort zone, taking appropriate risks to create a better way of doing things, not just for self necessarily, but for the good of all. So being assertive, taking those risks, taking the initiative, again, to come up with resources, solutions for the greater community. The 1 energy can emphasize confidence in finding our voice and using it. Less control from the external or not accepting control from the external, and bringing the focus back to control within our own lives and our destination. We can see shifts around the 1 energy in how we own our own space and how we show up in the world, honoring our own unique identity and our own unique contributions. We'll be asked with this energy to take responsibility for those actions and take accountability for how our actions affect the all. Now, the 6 energy emphasizes emotions and how we work with those charged energies, taking responsibility for working with them and managing how we express them, using that energy for good rather than destruction and separation. Now, again, emotions are such a hot topic because people immediately, when you say control your emotions or manage your emotions, people immediately want to jump to suppression or avoidance. And that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is working with your emotions in a very healthy way so that you're not expressing them in a destructive way, right? You can work with, honor, acknowledge your emotions without sort of directing them or expressing them in a way that causes harm to self or others. So there may be more of an emphasis on emotions, where for so long, emotions for women, men, have been really sort of taboo and suppressed, right? For women, if you're emotional, you're hysterical, right? You're out of control and you're not taken seriously. For men in society, if they express emotions, they are weak, right? And of course, I'm not talking about like anger and that sort of thing. For whatever reason, we've become a society that respects expressing anger and violence and all those things. And so I think there's probably going to be a shift where we start respecting having greater control and management of those emotions rather than letting the emotions control us, right? It's so much healthier for self and others when we can manage and work with that very charged energy in a healthy way. And the 6 energy being highlighted puts emphasis on that. I expect there to be, with this 6 energy, more emphasis on the energy of the divine feminine. Now, I'm going to be talking a little bit about divine feminine energy, divine masculine energy, or feminine energy, masculine energy. This has nothing to do with gender. This is the energy, right? How we express that energy. So keep that in mind as we move through this. I know that if you listen to my channel, you already are aware of that, but I'm just putting that out there. So with the 6, I do expect to see a greater emphasis on the energy of the feminine. So more receptivity, more compassion, more empathy, less focus on striving, and more focus on work-life balance. Because right now, there's definitely an imbalance there. It's more about, how much you can do and how often and what your success rate is and all of those things. There's much more emphasis on the end goal and striving to get there. And I think there will be a shift there where, in one way or another, the focus sort of balances out and we start looking at, again, that work-life balance, the sort of honoring the holistic need for rest and rejuvenation, more balance and harmony rather than separation and man-made boundaries, right? So we may see less borders and more unity, figuratively speaking, but also literally. We might see sort of borders between countries open up and get less sort of strict or rigid, where it's much easier to cross borders and, experience different cultures and experience living in another country without major restrictions type thing. And so much less about, this is like ownership, like this is mine, so you can't have it type thing, right? And it's like, more openness when it comes to, just resources and, again, sharing wisdom and knowledge and all of these things that to some degree do have a level of restriction, right? There's definitely very strong man-made boundaries, whether you agree with it or not, that separate countries, right? Individuals, peoples, community, etc. And I think that with the emphasis on the 6, there's going to be much more about the greater community. So a greater coming together. So lessening of those borders. Again, whether you like it or not, this is the energy that's being highlighted. And so again, it will hopefully, or at least the goal of the energy would be, of the 6, right? is to bring people together, to work together more and be less divided. And so that brings into focus man-made boundaries and alleviating them or lessening them in some way to, again, find balance. I believe under the sixth energy, we'll see a deeper understanding of the needs of others. And again, the greater community, taking into account other perspectives, other ideas. This is a big one. And this is something that we're not very good at. We try to be, but it's definitely something that needs to come into balance, right? And I think the energy of this, Pluto highlighting this sixth energy is going to bring that into the focus. Now, the 5 brings the change, brings the transformation, brings the unconventional ideas. And so one of those things would be like if you felt sort of some kind of emotional charge about me talking about man-made boundaries and, countries opening their borders more and being a little bit more open with that. This is an unconventional idea, right? I mean, other people have had it, obviously, but it's like one of those things where it's outside the box. It's outside the norm. It's outside of the way that we've always done things. And so the 5 energy is going to ask us to think differently, to do differently, come up with those unconventional ideas and then do something with them to assist in merging the energies of the 1, which is more masculine energy of action, self-giving, with the more feminine energies of the 6, receptivity, stillness, compassion. Pluto in Aquarius has the potential over the next 20 plus years to lessen the gap between the divine feminine energies and the divine masculine energies, to create greater balance and harmony in how we honor self and how we honor others in a more elevated way. So we hear a lot of people talking about the rise of the divine feminine, and really what the potential is that the focus or the emphasis on the masculine energy will start to lessen as the feminine energies begin to rise, and they will meet somewhere in the middle, right? Balancing those energies, because if we have too much of either, it's imbalance, it's disharmony. And so the goal, and Pluto is always, the goal of Pluto is to come in, dismantle, and then force rebuilding of something for it to become more spiritually elevated, to step into a higher octave, right? So where there is imbalance, Pluto will come in and sort of rip it apart, break it back down to its core, and force us to rebuild in some way. But the goal, though it can be challenging when we're in it, is to get us to collectively a higher octave, right? A higher consciousness, an elevated state of being. So it completely makes sense, given the imbalance between the feminine and the masculine energies, that Pluto would come in and put a focus on this in the age of Aquarius, which again is unconventional thinking, doing things differently, taking into consideration self and all. So big energies that we're working with here for the next 20 plus years. And I will say that change does not happen without resistance. So we can expect, with 5 energy, we can expect the unexpected. When it comes to those not ready or willing to meet in the middle, some people do thrive off of separation and won't give in easily. But Pluto is a relentless energy, and so is the energy of the 5. So though it will probably, likely be slow and progressive and not without chaos and conflict, when, this transit is over, we'll likely see greater balancing of these energies collectively than we have ever seen, in thousands and thousands of years throughout history. I certainly hope so anyway. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at how these energies may affect each life path number. Life path 1. So the emphasis over the next sort of 20 years for you can bring about a lot of change and transformation, really with the areas of inner self, and how you sort of take your ideas and turn them into something physical. So you are working with, under this energy, not only, the 15-6 that we talked about, but the energies of the 7. So this can be a very deeply transformative period for you over the next over the next 20 years. Again, a lot of self-contemplation, going within, really working with the inner workings of the mind, the deeper psyche, really getting those bigger answers about self, your own personal direction, what you need to thrive, what that looks like, and how to sort of make that happen type thing. There's also this emphasis for you all on sort of opening up to a side of yourself that has maybe been more closed off or uncomfortable during your journey. And so with the 7, there's 2 sides of the 7, right? There's the very practical, logical, knowledge-driven side, the one who's the truth seeker, wants to get to the truth of the matter, does not take things at face value, but wants to get to the sort of intricacies, the deeper inner workings of something to greater, have an understanding of it. There is a side of the 7 that is seeing is believing, right? And so there's also this layer of the need for trust. So trusting self, trusting others, trusting the unseen. Which brings me to the other side of the 7, which is more ethereal, more psychic, more intuitive, very much in touch with the unseen, right? And very an open channel, basically. And the goal is for the 7 to become the bridge between the metaphysical and the physical, the ethereal and the physical. And so what the goal of that is to be an open channel to these bigger ideas, right? And as a 1, this works so beautifully with your energies, right? So getting those big ideas, those inspirations, those sort of psychic hits, and then translating that into something very tangible, very physical, very, something that you can share, right, with the world, with others. But there is a very strong element of trust here. And I think that that's probably going to come up throughout these 20 years. Again, trust for self. So if you make a decision, trusting that decision, trust in others, letting them show you who they are before you immediately decide that you can trust them or you can't. And trusting the universe, right? There are going to be things that you need to surrender to. So this is going to be a period of time of helping you to learn how to surrender and to trust that the universe has your back, that, you're not going to be given anything that you can't overcome, no matter how challenging. So this can absolutely be a very holistic transforming period for you, because the 7 is going to bring into focus the body, like health, but holistic health. So body, mind, spirit, right? So a deeper connection with your higher consciousness, a deeper connection with the spirit realm, perhaps, a deeper connection with trusting the unseen and what you may not be able to get tangible proof for. If you're somebody who is more head in the clouds, and very much in tune with the more psychic side of things and, your intuition and all that, then this energy is really going to help to ground you and to figure out how to bring those more ethereal ideas, those feelings, and turn them into something tangible, whatever that means for you. There can also be things come up with the body that need your attention. So again, think like holistic health, the spirit and where the spirit sits, right, in the body. All of these things, as well as mental, right? All of these things can come into play under this period for transformation. that can transform your belief systems in some way, especially if they've been hindering you in any way. So just pay attention to that. Anything that kind of comes up for you, again, remember this is going to be more progressive, more than likely, but this can be a truly, truly just very deep transformative period. This can also require more time for solitude. So not getting rid of your relationships and all of that, but a time for, again, that more feminine energy of rest and rejuvenation, and not striving so hard or pushing so hard, but surrendering when you need to surrender. So pay attention to that as well. So, I would say out of most of the energies, this is going to be a very potentially intense 20 years, intense, but it's helping you to find your own understanding of self, like truly, and what you want that to look like in the world, and how you express yourself, and how you go about creating these big ideas. Because, y'all are at the forefront here. Y'all are at the forefront. You're the trailblazers. You're the ones who are taking those big ideas, those visions, and turning them into something substantial. So no pressure, but Pluto is going to help you along the way. So I hope this was helpful. Good luck, guys. Take care. Bye for now.